r/AskReddit. What do you do to keep a conversation from dying? Honestly, I have a number of interests I will talk all night about, and I also really love hearing other people do the same thing about whatever they are really into. It's largely irrelevant what it actually is too. Just hearing people talk passionately about something is awesome. Either lead or follow down that avenue, but get someone to wax lyrical about what they love. Everyone has one. I'll usually try and ask the other person things about them, i.e. how their day has been, what they are getting up to at the weekend, gossip, if I'm fairly close with them, what they do in their spare time, etc. If the conversation is truly dead and they're not making an effort though, I tend not to bother trying to carry it on. It's a two-way street, and if someone clearly doesn't want to talk, I'm not gonna waste their time or mine. If it's me talking to them and they sound bored, I say something super random out of nowhere to get them into it, like if talking about robots, I say, so anyway, they're super cool and watermelon demon bear ball. If it's them talking to me, I look very interested, try to maintain eye contact, and when it's done, I try to maintain the same subject, and if they look bored, look to thing one for what I do. When my girlfriend is angry, it is the hardest to keep a conversation going. She likes to pout and pretend nothing is wrong but stay silent at the same time. In order to keep a convo going with her, I will ask about some sort of skincare product. She cannot resist telling me all about it, or I search Instagram until I find a good meme and show her. It usually makes her smile and things improve from there. Perhaps this only works smoothly if you're legitimately comfortable with natural intermittent silence, but I've never had a problem with just letting a conversation die, sitting quietly for a bit and then asking a completely unrelated question. Not allowing for natural silences makes those new questions feel more forced and give away that your motivation is in avoiding awkwardness rather than actually listening to the answer and continuing to talk. I ask questions. If I want to talk to someone, I can typically find something interesting to ask them about, then I just keep asking questions. One good strategy to pair with this is to make it personal. Ask how they reacted, how that situation made them feel, etc. A less good strategy is just be silent but maintain eye contact. Usually people will just continue talking. Sometimes they get creeped out. Lol. Sometimes letting it die is an option. Or change the subject completely. If you have seemingly exhausted everything you're gonna say on a subject, don't try to keep it going. For a while before I went on a date or something, I would look at the news and make sure I had at least 3 recent things to talk about should the natural conversation grow stale. The X or Y question is always a silly one that I use every once in a while. Basically, I just say pancakes or waffles. And then they will reply with one or the other. This usually starts conversations. Another one is to give them a made-up dilemma, like, if I paid you $100 million to murder anyone, would you do it? Obviously choose your question based on the person, but you get the idea. Honestly, if I'm still keen to talk, I'll bring up something every day from Reddit or a podcast, and end with an opinion, typically, that they can refute or agree with. E.g., I was listening the other day to this hour-long podcast episode about bananas. Really, it just made me crave a banana sandwich. Best way to eat bananas, IMO. This way I get to think/talk about something I'm interested in. Other people pick boring topics, IMO. More of probing regarding the topic of discussion, and open-ended questions that leads to more of answering. Repeat. The fun is when a conversation leads to many other subtopics or related topics and never know the topic that was started with. It mostly depends on the type of conversation. If the motive is just to have a conversation, then discuss something you or the other like. It just goes on. At a party, I was talking to an old friend from school and her friends. We got talking for a good couple of minutes, then we all just stopped. Usually I'd just wallow in the awkwardness, but this time I said, "Look at this, we've ran out of things to talk about," and they all laughed and we kept on talking. I'd also say being genuinely invested in what they are saying is key, allowing you to ask genuine questions. If you aren't interested, then move the conversation away from that topic. I'm a barber, so I encounter this at least 3 to 7 times a day. I like to ask, how do you feel about that? Or, how did that make you feel? When they mention something. I also enjoy throwing out random factoids in a lull. One of my FAVs is, did you know it only takes about 5 lbs of pressure to remove a human ear? That one always gets the conversation moving. Listening is super important, and then ask follow-up questions. Ask for more clarification, ask about certain details, ask how they came to that conclusion, ask if they ever ran into that situation before, ask what their motivation was, ask if shakes out the way they thought. Changing to a different topic each question isn't a conversation, but continuing to ask follow-up questions is. A conversation usually dies because of one or both of these things. One of you, or both, have stopped trying because of lack of interest. Solution: there probably is none, find someone else. 2. You have been talking for a while and lack a topic. Solution: you should go and do something, plan some activity, and make memories together. This is the problem with some people, it's okay to enjoy people's company in silence. You don't have to talk just for the sake of talking. I would much rather someone says nothing until they have something interesting to say than to babble crap just to keep a conversation going. So I don't do anything to stop a conversation from dying, I just let it run its course. I have noticed that I can sustain a really boring conversation for a long time while hardly listening to what the other person is saying. The trick is to know when they are about to round off and time that with asking very bland questions like, is that so, really? Are you sure, that's so interesting, how did you learn that, etc. I have endured many soul-sucking dinner conversations that way. Point out something random. For example, let's assume it's just you and one other person. If you just told a joke and you two are laughing, then the laughing faded away, point out something random, then go from there. Like, that guy has a weird shirt, then you could talk about weird shirts you've gotten as a present before and so on. Absolutely nothing. If it dies, it dies. Way too much energy to think about how to keep it floating. It's almost always better to point the lull out in a joking way, well that's awkward, well I guess that wasn't very interesting, etc. It will spur a more organic conversation than asking, what do you do in your spare time, anyways? I used to try way harder to keep them going. Lately I've changed. Why do I need to do all that work? Frick that. Maybe the other person is the cause, not me. It's just a paradigm shift where I don't blame myself every time there's some awkward silence. If it really takes a bunch of work to keep a conversation going, maybe I should talk to someone else. I want my conversations to be easy. Probably not fantastic, but saying something completely random and out of the blue. Just blurt out some nonsense like, hey, my toes just spontaneously combusted. Usually it's followed by laughter and the conversation continues. Of course, it doesn't have to be this ridiculous, it's just that my friends and I have dumb humor. Just ask them about their hobbies or something along the lines. Most people love to talk about stuff they are passionate about even if they're otherwise shy. And, maybe that's just me, I usually enjoy when people talk about stuff they are passionate/knowledgeable about. Doesn't even matter what it is, I just enjoy how happy/excited they get and usually feel like I've learned something at the end of the day. I mean, there's a lot of good advice here about active listening, probing into their interests, etc. I'm assuming you've kind of exhausted those options. I like to get into hypothetical questions. I've got tons of these on deck, and come up with new ones on the fly all the time. You've gotta be able to read your audience, but the right hypothetical can be a springboard to some awesome conversations. There's nothing wrong with letting a conversation die. If a conversation is dying, it means neither of you can think of anything meaningful to say. Bid your farewells and wait for the next meeting. It's better to end a conversation early, and have the other person think you're wise, than letting a conversation carry on, and risk making the other person think you have nothing of value to say. It's a real skill. Kids don't have it at all. But they kind of do, because kids will just hang around and be cool with silence until their curiosity hits in. Curiosity is the thing I find the best. Curiosity about the person you are talking to, for example. How did you get in this situation? Curiosity about your circumstances. Or curiosity about life, the world, whatever. As long as you are genuinely curious, you'll both have a good time. How do you feel about? And follow up with something that suits the previous topic. Have you heard about? Asking for something they might have an opinion about or something you think they could be interested in to hear. But in general, if you are having trouble keeping a conversation alive, your partner doesn't have interest in the topic, his mind is somewhere else, or he just doesn't like you. But the last one is hopefully not the case. It's important to know when a conversation has naturally led to an end and to find a high point to leave on. Kinda like George Costanza, leaving on a high note. It's tough if you are in the middle of a meal or something, but if they are random convos throughout the day, it's better to leave on a laugh or during a natural pause. Same goes for texting crushes. I really don't know, these deep conversations happen with me. Sometimes it just happens. I've had some deep conversations with people who could be my mom or dad. Several times older than me, 18. I've been told by someone 2x older than me that she has a conversation like what he have had with older people, or people the same age. I agree that if people keep it short, they are way too boring for me. I hate being short, and I'm 6'3". Thanks for watching this auto-generated video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I upload videos like this one daily. I put a lot of time into developing this video generator, but if there have been errors, please tell me in the comments below. Also leave me a link to another thread you would like to see a video about. Have a great day, Alex.